In the Middle Ages, when meteorology sounded more like a spell than science, farmers had no weather apps, satellites, or thermometers. Yet, they predicted the weather with a precision that, while not matching modern forecasts, let them sow, harvest, and survive in a world where a miscalculation meant starvation. How'd they do it? Picture a medieval peasant, straw hat tilted, squinting at the sky, sniffing the air, and muttering about clouds that look like fat sheep. Not magic, though it sometimes felt like it. It was sharp observation, inherited wisdom, and a dash of instinct we might envy today. Life in the Middle Ages revolved around the land. Farmers depended on the weather to decide when to plant wheat, harvest barley, or shelter livestock. A mistake could ruin a season, and with no supermarkets, that was a serious problem. Without modern tools, these men and women developed a prediction system based on observing nature, animal behavior, and patterns that, through repetition, became a kind of folk science. No Doppler radar, but their eyes, ears, and collective memory were worth their weight in grain. The sky was their first go-to. Clouds were an open book. It wasn't just about gray or white. There were nuances. Cumulus clouds, those fluffy, cotton-like ones, often meant fair weather, especially if high and scattered. But if they piled up and darkened, farmers knew rain was coming. Cirrus clouds, those wispy, feather-like streaks, signaled a weather shift in a day or two, often bringing rain or a cold front. Farmers didn't use terms like cirrostratus or nimbostratus, of course. For them, it was more, those clouds look like feathers, better hurry with the harvest. And it worked. Sky color was another key. A red sunrise, caused by sunlight bouncing off dust or moisture in the atmosphere, warned of rain or storms. This inspired sayings we still use, like, red sky at morning, sailors take warning. Medieval farmers weren't sailors, but the principle held, a red dawn meant a low-pressure system was near.
A red sunset, when the sun lit a clear sky, promised good weather tomorrow.
These weren't just poetic sayings, they were practical rules, honed over centuries of observation. Wind played a big role too. Farmers noted its direction and strength. In Europe, a west wind often brought moist Atlantic air. Hello, rain. An east wind was drier and colder, tied to clear but chilly weather.
A sudden shift in direction.
Trouble was brewing. No anemometers here, but they felt the breeze on their skin and watched it rustle leaves or straw. A wind that smelled wet, likely from the scent of damp earth or plants, hinted rain was close. Animals were furry or feathered meteorologists. Farmers paid close attention to their behavior. Cows, for instance, often lay down before rain, maybe to stay dry or because they sensed humidity. Sheep, not exactly brainiacs, huddled tighter when bad weather loomed. Birds gave clues too.
Flying low.
The air pressure was dropping, making high-altitude flight tough, a sign of coming rain. Swallows were especially famous for this. Spot them skimming the ground, and a farmer was already prepping the barn for a storm. Insects were reliable snitches. Bees zipped back to their hives before a storm, like they had an emergency weather meeting. Ants got frantic, reinforcing nests or moving to higher ground when rain was near. Even frogs had a say. Louder croaking at dusk meant humid air. No barometer needed, just a frog chorus. Plants offered hints too. Dandelions or chickweed closed their flowers when humidity rose, as if saying, "Nope, closed for business." Clover might curl its leaves slightly before a storm. Farmers watched these signs closely, as plants reacted to shifts in pressure, humidity, and temperature. It was like nature whispering, "Brace yourself, water's coming." The moon, that great sky lamp, had its role. A halo around it, caused by light refracting through ice crystals in high clouds, meant rain was a day or two away.
A bright, clear moon.
Stable weather. Some moon beliefs bordered on superstition, like a full moon bringing frost, but even those had truth. Clear full moon nights are colder without clouds to trap heat. Experience was a cornerstone. Farmers didn't just watch the present, they recalled the past. Folk wisdom passed down through generations, often as proverbs: oak before ash, summer's dry; ash before oak, summer's wet. Not always foolproof, but rooted in decades, even centuries, of patterns. Village elders were living libraries, their tales of the summer the storks arrived late, or the winter squirrels hoarded extra nuts, guiding the young. Seasonal cycles shaped predictions too. Farmers knew certain weather patterns repeated yearly. In Europe, autumn often brought more rain, while winter could be dry but cold with an east wind. These weren't guesses but observations of crops, rivers, and forests over months. The liturgical calendar, tied to seasons, helped plan. Michaelmas, September 29th, marked the harvest's end, and farmers knew autumn rains were likely after. Not everything was rustic science. Religion and superstition played parts. Farmers often chalked weather up to divine will, praying to saints for fair skies. Saint Medard, the rain saint, was a big deal. Rain on his feast day, June 8th, meant 40 days of it, they said. Sounds wacky, but June often shifts to wetter weather in Europe, and these dates were markers. Still, farmers didn't just pray and hope. They were practical. Bad signs? They diversified crops or stored extra grain. Promising summer? They planted more. This adaptability was key in a world without crop insurance or 10-day forecasts. They dug ditches to drain water or built raised barns to keep harvests dry. Smell was an underrated tool. Farmers could sniff rain, a scent we now know comes from chemicals released by plants and soil as humidity rises. That earthy pre-storm smell wasn't just poetic, it was a cue to stow tools and seek shelter.
Dry, dusty air?
Good weather would hold. The landscape gave clues too. A fast-flowing river suggested recent mountain rains, hinting more was coming. A drying swamp? Drought ahead. Farmers didn't just scan the sky, they read the earth like a weather map. Weather prediction was a team effort. In markets or taverns, farmers swapped notes. "My swallows are flying low," one said. "Yeah, my cows wouldn't stop mooing last night," another replied. These chats confirmed or debunked signs, forming a rough weather consensus. Not quite a forecast, but close enough. They didn't always nail it. The Middle Ages saw famines and lost harvests from bad predictions or unpredictable events, like the Little Ice Age, which brought harsher winters from the 14th century. But farmers were tough. They learned from mistakes, tweaked methods, and pressed on. Their knack for predicting weather without tools was a blend of ingenuity, patience, and a deep bond with nature we often overlook today, glued to our screens. What made it work? Attention to detail. No meteorology degrees, but they were masters at reading their world. Every cloud, gust, or frog croak was a puzzle piece they pieced together carefully. They messed up sometimes, but their observation-based approach let them thrive in a world where weather was both friend and foe. So, next time you check your weather app and see a rain icon, remember, 1,000 years ago, a farmer already knew, because the cows lay down and the clouds looked like fat sheep.